I am Precious Mzea Sakaleshi. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. The headlines. Former First Lady Esther Lungu avoids D.E.C. interrogation. Italian president holds Zambia's democracy. Second-hand underwear business booming amid the ban. In international news, Boris Johnson resigns as Prime Minister of the UK. And in sports, Red Arrows Rugby Club confident of beating NDOLA Rugby Club in this coming Saturday encounter. Details coming through after this commercial. And now the main news in detail. Alleged Patriotic Front cadres have resumed illegal construction of houses around ZESCOPOS along Shantumbu Road of Jigrins area in Lusaka after they had stopped following the change of government in August 2021. A check by Camnet News after a tip-off from concerned citizens within the area have revealed that the construction of most of the houses has advanced, with some having reached roof level. In an interview with Camnet News, the concerned citizens have urged the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to quickly conduct an inspection of the land and other places said to have land illegalities to ensure that such structures are put down.
When visiting Shantumbu Road of Jiglings area in Lusaka, one is greeted by a shocking sight as the construction of houses is actively going on around ZESCOPOS. Reports of such illegalities have been rife of recent, prompting concerned stakeholders to call on all relevant authorities to conduct a land audit, especially in Lusaka province. Concerned citizens who tipped off Camnet News alleged that the constructions were started by members aligned to the former ruling Patriotic Front PF when in government, but explained that construction stopped following the victory of the United Party for National Development UPND in August 2021. They, however, explained that construction has actively resumed following the pronouncement by the current administration that they will not persecute anyone but allow the law to take its course.
As you can see, we are in Shantumbu Road. This is along Shantumbu Road where we have discovered the PF cadres, the Uncle T and the Chisha. These are the people and the friends. These are the people who are doing these illegal structures. As you can see, they were building these illegal structures even under the power line. So in New Dawn government, we are not going to condone or tolerate this nonsense happening here. We are here, we are saying no to this nonsense.
A spot check by Camnet News also revealed that some of the houses have reached roof level, while others have already been fenced off and gates erected. Another concerned citizen, Mr. Dube Mukuni, has also spoken out.
So we want to find out exactly who is in power. Is it PF or UPND? Because when UPND, if they are the one who did this, the police, they would have already been here. But PF, nobody follows them. So we want to find out. Yes. What is happening? Is it PF who is in power or UPND? Because if PF they can do this, what about UPND? Why are you arresting UPND when they are doing simple things, when PF are doing big things which are illegal? So we are appealing to the government to say the government should come here and look at this.
While the PF is on record denying any illegalities when in government, Concerned citizens have been calling for inspection of all suspected illegalities to ensure that the rule of law is fully restored in all areas. They have since called on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources to inspect the said land in question. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A family of Lusaka's Chamba Valley area in Lusaka have been turned into nomads after their lands was allegedly given to their neighbor by unscrupulous people from Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in 2016. In an interview, one of the affected, Miss Ruth Nambela, explains that her family along with another family have been sitting tenants on the 2 acres piece of land since 1991 while awaiting title deeds. She, however, explains that her family was shocked in 2016 when the other family was given title deeds for the entire 2 acres, which saw their house being demolished.
This is a family originally from Lusaka's Chamba Valley area who have now been turned into nomads with no permanent residence after their land was allegedly grabbed from them in 2016 by their neighbor. One of the affected, Ms. Ruth Nambela, explains that the land, which stretches up to 2 hectares in size, was bought by her grandmother, 74-year-old Fides Namwila, in 1991, along with another family who were already sitting on part of the same land, while the 2 families were awaiting to be given title deeds. She, however, alleges that the other family in 2016 were given title deeds for the entire 2 hectares with the help of their relative from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, which saw their house being demolished. Ms. Nambela explains that her family spent 3 months sleeping out in the open after that, but were later given another piece of land by the said official from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources in Mikango area, but later displaced in similar circumstances. The aggrieved woman states that her family was finally given land but in Mukushi district, in a far-flung and mountainous area, which is not conducive for her family, given that they live with persons with disabilities.
Tinapeza kati jalandi petina bwera kuno banatuza ti tifuno ziba mwamine muni chani muni mabikoni so that pajapalandi timeambo manga hapo. Tinapeza kati after tatenga masurveyors taenda kuja nombo peza kati jalandi anetenzo ziba ti ndiye yatu yamene tinasanga. Tinapeza kati ajama title deed sindiye ya palandi pajawe landi nachokera kwinangu ndemwane tinaendera na masurveyors paka kuendo fika kuja kwa mene tina kwa nienzo bapasa location kulandi. Tinaendo peza tinikusanga tinaendo almost 7 kilometers kwenda ofika pamene pali land kupeza ti land tinajumpa ma mountain ya 3 elo mulandi yenze pansi muchimugodi muli vimugodi vakuti nangu vakupasa chati nakupasa ko chabo zingalapo fulisunga vomeli.
Meanwhile, her mother, Miss Doris Nankamba, explains that efforts to get help from the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources has been slow. She was speaking after a meeting with the Commissioner of Lands at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources.
Brief. So Peter Baxter brief wakamba kuti okay na mvera inkanyano but nizafunako first kuitana vamene vadaka because kaili vantu vana vachinja basi sivali mande ma offices ndio vadaka kaiti vali Ministry of Supply so vazafuna kuti vadaka vakavaitana vadaka mande ndiye vauza the truth palicha vakauza ndiye pepa zaita bwana ndiye pepa zatiitana ife mande kuti vazive kuti what's the way forward. Ndemwe vakambira then vanipempa kuti onilembeko later at least yamene izachita indicate kuyambira kuchiyambi napa so that vazive kuti manje vaenda bwanji bevi.
The family has called on the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. Elijah Muchima, to take an interest in the matter, stating that they cannot be destitute in their own country. They have also called for an audit of all human resource at the said ministry, alleging that most of them are involved in illegalities. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Some mobile money agents say it is unfair that Lusaka City Council demolished their mobile money booths, which were operating along the Great East Road in a cleanup exercise for the upcoming Africa Union Conference to be held at Mulungushi International Conference Center this July. Dominic Mitowe, a mobile booth operator, says government should have exercised lenience and provided them with alternative places. Zambia is set to host the African Union mid-year meeting in Lusaka at Kenneth Kaunda International Conference Center from the 14th to the 17th of July 2022.
These youths have been left stranded after the Lusaka City Council embarked on a cleanup exercise on 3rd July 2022, which saw their mobile money booths removed from operating along the Great East Road, owing to the anticipated Africa Union Media Coordinating Meeting slated for July 14th to 17th of 2022 at the Mulungushi International Conference Center. The summit is expected to attract 13 heads of state and 800 foreign delegates. And speaking to Camnet TV, Dominic Motolo has described this move as unfair, saying that the council did not consider how this would negatively impact their businesses. He says this is his only way of sustaining his livelihood.
But looking at what is happening when the council came to take away our booth, and this is where we depend on. But now, what kind of youth empowerment is this? Because looking at it, a lot of agents or youths, rather, they're into this mobile money thing. And I thank M10 and Airtel Money for coming up with this, because it has really helped us this to take care of our relatives and some of our siblings. Right now, some of them, they're even in universities. We are busy paying for them from this little money that we get from these mobile money booths. But now, all of a sudden, they're telling us, no, there are some visitors coming and they are busy collecting their booths. Is this fair, honest speaking, as Zambians? This what?
And others say the council should have exercised lenience and provided them with alternative working places, considering that their businesses are duly registered.
manyumba timalipira mobile money amen so chapezeka kuti vatichosera mandenga sona business apa kulipe mushemushe so tenzopembako chekuri vakateka oro vapita monga ivo vamamitingi vakatiganzireko vakaziveko vochita so that naise tikapeze mozitandizira.
They have since called on the government to intervene in the matter, adding that the president has been echoing strong sentiments on the youths being creative. Messi Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
Former First Lady Esther Lungu has failed to appear before the Drug Enforcement Commission Thursday morning for questioning. This follows an instruction issued by the Commission that she avail herself without fail. In an interview with Camnet, Mrs. Lungu's counsel, Makebi Zulu, says his client requested for more time before she could appear before D.E.C, stating that the call-out summoning her was done Thursday morning, hence could not make it. The summoning of Mrs. Lungu by the Anti-Money Laundering Unit is believed to be in connection with the 15 flats seized by D.E.C last week, believed to be property suspected of being proceeds of crime.
Summoned to appear for questioning before the Drug Enforcement Commission under the Anti-Money Laundering Unit Thursday morning, former First Lady Esther Lungu was nowhere near the premises of D.E.C as officers waited for her arrival. Mrs. Lungu's summons are allegedly believed to be in connection with the 15 houses seized by D.E.C last week in State Lodge, which she has claimed ownership, and when contacted for a comment on why she did not appear before D.E.C this morning, counsel representing her, Makebi Zulu, explained that the call-out summoning her was done this morning, demanding that she appears before the Anti-Money Laundering Unit at 11 hours. According to Mr. Zulu, the summon was on short notice, hence they requested for more time.
D.E.C sent a notice to us this morning, and obviously we don't just sit and doing nothing. We were busy as lawyers, and the time we got in touch with the client, she was not available at that particular time. And the next available time for us to be able to go there with her would be Tuesday. And we wrote to D.E.C to inform them before time that we will not be able to make it. We thought they were going to be prudent enough to address you journalists and let you know that we wrote to them and intimated that we're not going to make it, but clearly they did not let you know.
Meanwhile, by broadcast time, the Drug Enforcement Commission had not yet released any official statement with regard to the matter in subject. Last week, the Drug Enforcement Commission seized 15 flats in State Lodge without tying anyone to the said property. But after a weekend of speculation, Makebi Zulu advocates, acting on behalf of the former First Lady, confirmed that indeed the said 15 flats belonged to Mrs. Lungu, who also has the title to the housing complex. However, Minister of Land Elijah Muchima said the ministry has no record to show coordinates for the land upon which the seized houses have been built. Miriam Kemba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Economic Financial Crimes Court in NDOLA has sentenced former Postmaster General Macpherson, Chanda and 2 others to 2 years imprisonment for theft by public servant. This was in a case in which Mr. Chanda, in his capacity as director, and his co-accused former Zampost Finance Director, Best Mwaiche, and former Director of Operations, Isaac Kamwimba, were found guilty of 13 counts of theft by public servants involving over 300 million kwacha. The trio are said to have unlawfully diverted social cash transfer funds amounting to over 335,108 kwacha without authority. The convicts, who appeared before the NDOLA magistrate under the Economic Financial Crimes Court, were sentenced with an option of paying a fine amount of 350 million kwacha.
Commission, we are very elated by the conviction by the subordinate court in Copperbelt of former Postmaster General Mr. Macpherson Chanda. We had been investigating that case, and we arrested him and took him to the court. And this is one of those cases that proves that actually the fast track court is working, because the case has been disposed of in a very short period of time, of which we are saying that for us it is justice served, because within a short period of time both the state and the accused person were able to know the determination of the court in that particular case. And so, as a commission, would like to warn all perpetrators of corruption and things related to such issues that the long arm of the law will definitely catch up with you, as you will not escape it.
Republican President Hakainde Hichilema says Zambia is working towards restructuring its debt, and he is gratitude that the Italian government has pledged to help the country. Speaking when Italian President Sergio Mattarella paid a courtesy call at State House Thursday morning, President Hichilema thanked the Italian government for its continued support to Zambia in various ways. And President Hakainde Hichilema has also urged Italian investors to explore business opportunities in the production of electric car parts through partnership with Zambian investors. President Hichilema has also observed that Italian companies have played a huge role in the country's economic development through investments in sectors such as construction and agribusinesses. Meanwhile, President Mattarella has pledged Italia's full support towards the country's positive relationship with the International Monetary Fund in restructuring the debt.
The Italian government has pledged to continue its strong partnership in helping Zambia address the many challenges it faces. Italian President Sergio Mattarella, who is in the country for a 3-day official visit, reaffirmed his government's commitment in helping Zambia improve in various sectors. He was also quick to appreciate the Zambian government effort in fighting against corruption, among other things.
Very much appreciated your speech to the European Parliament, during which you mentioned democracy, its institutions, its values. I fully agree with the things you said. And I believe we foster the same values. The values that your presidency, I'm sure, will develop through the consolidation of the rule of law.
The foreign head of state, who was speaking at State House Thursday, also pledged his country's full support towards Zambia's positive relationship with the International Monetary Funds to restructure debt.
And I wish to ensure you that you have our full support as far as the issue of your debt is concerned. Italy was among the promoters of the moratorium 2 years ago, of the DSSI 2 years ago, with extension to 2021. We are part of the Creditors Committee. We intend to support Zambia in any way and in any context so that we can swiftly move to a good solution, allowing you to have a positive relationship with the International Monetary Fund. Your country and your government can count on Italy's full support.
Meanwhile, Republican President Hakainde Hichilema said his administration is working in improving the lives of Zambians and further thanked the Italian government for its continued support. President Hakainde Hichilema also observed the role that Italian investors continue to play in the Zambia's economic development through investment in sectors such as construction and agribusinesses.
We also want to appreciate Italy's support to Zambia's development efforts. I return to the EU, which I was privileged to address the EU Parliament not long ago. Italy gave us support. Italy has given us support around the EU Africa cooperation. We want to underscore once more our desire as a government now, as a new government, a democratic government, which wants to continue with our democratic credentials, to restructure our economy. One of the areas of restructuring that needs to leave us with headroom space is the debt situation.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
In other news, Italian President Sergio Mattarella says democracy has solid roots in Zambia, as evidenced from the smooth transition of power by successful administrations. Speaking when he addressed the Zambian parliament in Lusaka Thursday, President Mattarella says parliament is a house where the people's will can freely be expressed. He says Zambia and Italy are united through long-term standing bonds of friendships, among them the construction of the Kariba Dam, which remains a milestone infrastructure in the African continent. And the Italian president notes that the world is faced with major issues, which include the COVID-19 pandemic, which he says calls for strengthened relations among nations to rise above the challenges.
Democracy has solid roots in Zambia, and it has proven to be appreciated by its people. And through their vote, on a number of occasions, there has been alternate governments. The Zambian people and the Italian people are united by age-old bonds of friendship. For many decades after the Second World War, our countries went through intense collaboration in the moment in time in which the independence of a number of African countries was happening. A number of Italian businesses contributed to the economic and social development of the country, beginning with the building of the Kariba Dam, which continues to be one of the most important dams of the entire continent, with a large presence of Italians.
Parliament has debated the motion to establish an agricultural bank that will oversee some of the financial challenges that most farmers face, especially the ones in rural areas. Speaking during Parliament sessions Wednesday, Member of Parliament for Zambezi East, Brian Kambita, says before constructing an agricultural bank, government should consider learning from past mistakes, where attempts to create a bank was not successful owing to political influence. And Chitambo constituency Member of Parliament, Remember Mtale, says the agricultural bank should be strategically located in order to benefit most farmers and not just selected few. Meanwhile, the Sub-Sahara African Farmers Organization's president, Cedric Mlonda, has commended government for considering such an initiative, saying that it will go a long way in eradicating poverty among farmers. Mr. Mlonda says an agricultural bank will ensure that farmers get favorable interest rates that will in turn encourage business for most farmers.
There has been calls from stakeholders in the agriculture sector that governments do consider establishing an agricultural bank that will oversee the financial affairs of most farmers in the country. And during a parliament meeting 6 of July 2022, parliamentarians had debated on a motion to establish a financial institution which would be solely for farmers. And speaking during the session, Zambezi East Member of Parliament Brian Kambita says an agricultural bank will go a long way in increasing productivity in the agricultural sector. However, for such initiatives to succeed, there must be considerable efforts to limit all manner of political interference that had taken prominence in previous financial institutions which served a similar purpose.
Bodies, and therefore some of my comments will border on things that I know of because of my interaction with parastatal bodies. However, I'll limit my debate to things that will help us support that motion and not necessarily create controversy. Madam Speaker, Lima Bank, as it was, a very good idea, an agricultural finance institution, as being proposed by this motion, ended up failing because of various factors, top of which is political interference, which the mover already alluded to.
And Chitambo constituency Member of Parliament, Remember Mutale, says the bank should be strategically located if it is to benefit all farmers across the country.
The Vice President is very happy today to see the House uniting in this manner. Madam Speaker, it is not just a matter of establishing this bank, but also it is a matter of the strategic location of this institution. Madam Speaker, if we are just talking about an agricultural bank, and the bank is just established in certain parts of the country without targeting where the farmers are found, then this motion is as good as not being on this floor of the House. I'm speaking like this, Madam Speaker. I come from Chitambo, which is a rural constituency, where we don't have a bank. And I know, Madam Speaker, that should such a bank be opened, I'm sure the people of Chitambo will benefit from this.
Meanwhile, Sub-Sahara African Farmers Organization President Cedric Mulonda has commended Parliament for considering such initiatives, adding that it will go a long way in eradicating poverty amongst farmers.
Knew exactly where it is itching, and by having this bank, we are going to reduce poverty in this country, because poverty is an economic statistical point, which means that your household income per capita or your individual income per capita is below the datum line or a set level. So now, by having that agricultural bank, we are going to need a lot of people to be involved. The youth who are not employed, the women women who are running families by themselves, widows, and so forth, and orphans. This is going to help a lot of people because unemployment is going to be a thing of the past if an agricultural bank is going to be set, because agriculture absorbs every qualification on the planet.
Messi Chanika reporting for Camnet TV News in Lusaka.
The Zambian government has intensified preparations to host the Mid-Year African Union AU meeting slated for 14th to 17th July 2022. The continental meeting is expected to be attended by about 13 head of state and government officials from across the continent. Minister of Information and Media, Chief Government Spokesperson Chanda has assured that Zambia will remain an active member of the African Union and a key partner in furthering the continental developmental agenda. Speaking during the official opening of the media workshop in Zambia on the Continental Summit, the minister also says that over 1 billion citizens of Africa are entitled to information for them to participate effectively in the affairs of the continent through information disseminated by the media. This year's theme for the AU Media Coordinating Meeting is Strengthening Resilience of Nutrition and Food Security on the African Continent, Strengthening Agri-Food System, Health and Social Protection System for the Acceleration of Human Socio-Economic Capital Development.
I can safely say Zambia is the birthplace of the African Union. Ladies and gentlemen, it is against this background that Zambia has the honor of hosting the African Union Mid-Year Coordination Meeting from the 14th to the 17th of July 2022 under the theme Strengthening Resilience in Nutrition and Food Security on the African Continent. Strengthening agro-food systems, health and social protection systems for the acceleration of human, social and economic capital development. Zambia's hosting of this high-level meeting underscores the country's credentials as a champion for peace and unity on the African continent and beyond. And thanks goes to the Republican President of Zambia, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, who has brought back Zambia on the Champions League. The role of our late first president, Mr. Kenneth Kaunda, after which this wing the new wing is named, and others that have followed after him attest to this fact. Ladies and gentlemen, Zambia stands to benefit immensely from hosting the meeting through the high number of international delegates and dignitaries that are expected to attend this very special meeting, some of whom are already here for various meetings ahead of the main conference. Government, therefore.
You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We take our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more after this.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Welcome back. We'll continue with the rest of the news. Second-hand underwear business is still booming in Zambia's capital city, Lusaka, despite this business being banned by government in 2017. A check by Camnet News at Lusaka's Kulima Tower bus station area found street vendors trading normally, with customers flocking around because second-hand underwear is relatively cheaper, while the traders say banning is not a good idea as it disadvantages those from low-income households. These items are said to carry potential bacteria, risking the health of users.
In 2017, the Zambia Bureau of Standards, through government, banned the selling of second-hand underwear due to the health implications the used textile products have towards one's health and may cause ailments such as skin rash. But a check by Camnet News in the Central Business District, Kulima Tower area, found that regardless of the ban, traders are still selling second-hand underwear. Those spoken to said this business is what puts food on their table and that they make good money compared to other second-hand items.
Ngazinkala whereby nsalaula anavala mukudala but muntu akagula kaisi kwenda vala direct so funika wawasha because wantena ngoza mpesa kwa ndogula makabudula kwa shops swakwanisi.
Others say second-hand underwear should not be banned as those that cannot afford pants from shops buy from them.
Polisa makabudula mwambela yasalaula because vena ngwantiswa kwa nso sta afford drama yogula makabudula ya mshop. Because makabudula shop new dollar, it's 25 kwacha, 30 kwacha, but when you go to Salaula, it's 5 kwacha, 7 kwacha. So wajama mavuto wajama kule kuna kuvaa. So wanga pitili is not webani.
And a lady found buying underwear for her children says second-hand pants are cheaper and that one only needs to wash the underwear before use.
They're just okay because there's some people who cannot afford to buy pants in town or my shops, they cannot afford. There's a lot of people there. So the least they can do, they can just come to Salaula patch. You go and wash it first, then
now one is left to wonder, if second-hand underwear is banned, how does it get into the country? Cherish Sibote for Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Center for Trade Policy and Development, CTPD, says there is need to leverage Zambia's extractive sector so as to mobilize resources to finance nutrition and security, stating that there lies great potential in this sector to revive Africa's economy. In an interview, CTPD Executive Director Isaac Maipopo says it is in vain that the center, along with other non-governmental organizations, in partnership with the African Union, AU Economic, Social and Cultural Council, are scheduled to hold a dialogue forum later in July of 2022 to see how this sector can best be leveraged for the benefit of Africa. He explains that this move has been done towards achieving goals number 3 and 20 of the 26-3 Development Agenda for Africa, which focuses on the role of the extractive sector in tackling Africa's domestic resources mobilization challenges. Mr. Maipopo explains that the 26-3 African Development Agenda cannot be attained without adequate funding, as most economies have been negatively impacted by the COVID-19 over the past 2 years, hence the need to maximize tax revenue collection through this sector.
We'll be hosting a side session while the Africa Union Summit is taking place in Lusaka in the next couple of days. The theme of our side session is basically leveraging on Africa's extractives to finance food security and nutrition. From the civil society, we see the extractives industry as a sector that offers several opportunities for domestic resource mobilization, especially if the African countries tighten loopholes that lead to illicit financial flows, as well as addressing the policy misalignments that have led to failure for most of the African countries to get the much needed resources from the extractives sector. We've also continued to witness that African countries are struggling with food security challenges, especially in the advent of COVID-19 as well as climate change. It is our firm belief that if African countries take advantage of the extractive sector, adopt progressive recommendations contained in strategic documents like the Africa Mining Vision, they would be able to mobilize the much needed resources to finance key sectors such as agriculture, as well as social protection needs, and in the end we can overcome challenges such as poverty and inequality.
Midwives Association of Zambia has called on various stakeholders to join the fight against maternal and internal mortality in in the country. Speaking during the launch of the Midwives Association of Zambia 2020 to 2024 strategic plan, the association president, Sarah Ngoma, notes that no woman deserves to die while giving birth. She adds that the strategic plan has outlined measures that is hoping will see a reduction in maternal deaths by 2030. And the UNFPA country representative, Gift Malunga, is saddened by the reports of 16 mothers dying last week as a result of giving birth, something which she says can be preventable. Meanwhile, Provincial Health Director Consisti Mwale says government is committed in putting up measures and supporting efforts to curb mortality rates amongst pregnant women.
Zambia has made significant strides in the past 2 decades to improve maternal and newborn health outcomes. What has been critical in this achievement is greater availability of skilled midwifery personnel. The number of births assisted by a skilled attendant doubles with well-qualified health personnel. When midwives are well-trained, adequate in number and appropriately supported to provide better quality of care, they can avert about 2/3 of preventable maternal and newborn deaths. Unfortunately, in many undeserved communities with high maternal and neonatal deaths, significant gaps remain in availability of those essential health workers. In this vein, Midwives Association of Zambia has appealed to different stakeholders to help in the fight against maternal mortality. Sarah Ngoma is the association president.
It was developed in 2020, but because of the, we are all aware of the coronavirus pandemic, which delayed the launch. It could have been launched 2 years ago, but we don't see it to be late because we still have life to go on and we still have a lot of things to implement from this strategic plan. So I would encourage each one of us, even as the strategic plan is launched, to go through it, read through it, and see where you can provide that support. Because at the end of the day, we are all looking at how we are going to save the lives of the mother and the baby.
And UNFPA country representative is saddened to note that 16 mothers died in Zambia while giving birth last week.
Giving birth, because it's a joyous moment. I was just learning from my colleague that only last week we lost 16 women in Zambia. What does that mean when we are here? Where are we missing the link? Why do we continue to have so many women dying while giving birth? UNFPA, the United Nations Population Fund, is how we.
Meanwhile, Provincial Health Director Consisti Mwale discloses that government is committed in putting measures to curb maternal mortality.
To note that the country continues to lose on mothers and babies due to preventable causes. Surely, this situation requires concerted effort by all partners present in this meeting. I am happy to see this strategic plan has included activities that will promote strategic involvement of traditional leaders and other community structures to ensure midwifery continuum of care of mothers and children is actualized.
The 3 were speaking at the launch of the Midwives Association Zambia 2020 to 2024 strategic plan. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
International and sports news coming through right after this commercial.
Team, the trajectory of the business looks very positive, and it looks like we'll be able to launch the ministry.
There's so much data.
Mom?
Yes, baby?
It says here, global warming and climate change is caused by the pollution from careless activities of human beings. Wow!
Son, do you know I can turn my phone into a TV remote?
How's that possible?
It's so easy. Check this out.
Be smart, be fast with mega data from Zamtel. Get your 15 GB mobile data for only 100 kwacha, 30 GB mobile data for only 200 kwacha, and your 70 GB LTE data bundle with free Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. Visit our Facebook page, website, or service centers countrywide for more information. Zamtel, your digital lifestyle partner.
Thank you for staying with us. We'll now get into our international news. Boris Johnson has announced his resignation after a party rebellion that saw several high-level officials resign. Boris Johnson says he has appointed new cabinet while he remains as UK Prime Minister until a successor is chosen. In other international news, recaptured inmates who escaped a medium security prison on the outskirts of Nigeria's capital Abuja have been returned to the prison. Suspected Boko Haram jihadists used guns and explosives to bust their way into Kuje prison on Tuesday night, freeing dozens of their jailed comrades and hundreds of other inmates. A local resident described the atmosphere during the jailbreak, saying, "At first, we thought it was the vigilance." The brazen attack came just hours after an ambush on a presidential security convoy in the northwest, a startling illustration of Nigeria's security challenges. Here's a roundup of international news.
I know that we in the UK will continue to back your fight for freedom for as long as it takes. And at the same time, in this country, we've been pushing forward a vast programme of investment in infrastructure and skills and technology, the biggest in a century, because if I have one insight into human beings, it is that genius and talent and enthusiasm and imagination are evenly distributed throughout the population, but opportunity is not. And that's why we must keep levelling up, keep unleashing the potential of every part of the United Kingdom. And if we can do that in this country, we will be the most prosperous in Europe. And in the last few days, I've tried to persuade my colleagues that it would be eccentric to change governments when we're delivering so much, and when we have such a vast mandate, and when we're actually only a handful of points behind in the polls, even in mid-term after quite a few months of pretty relentless sledging, and when the economic scene is so difficult domestically and internationally. And I regret not to have been successful in those arguments, and of course it's painful not to be able to see through so many ideas and projects myself. But as we've seen at Westminster, the herd instinct is powerful. When the herd moves, it moves. And my friends, in politics, no one is remotely indispensable. And our brilliant and Darwinian system will produce another leader equally committed to taking this country forward through tough times, not just helping families to get through it, but changing and improving the way we do things, cutting burdens on businesses and families, and yes, cutting taxes, because that is the way to generate the growth and the income we need to pay for great public services. And to that new leader, I say, whoever he or she may be, I say I will give you as much support as I can. And to you, the British public, I know that there will be many people who are relieved, and perhaps quite a few who will also be disappointed. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world.
Recaptured inmates are transported back to a medium security prison near Nigeria's capital after suspected Boko Haram jihadists blasted their way in on Tuesday night. Dozens of their jailed comrades and hundreds of other inmates were freed in the attack on the outskirts of Abuja.
As about 9:25, 9:30 yesterday, we started hearing sounds of gunshots. At first, we thought it was the vigilante around, but then it persisted. The sound were just coming, the gunshots were coming. You could know that was not vigilante anymore.
One security official was killed when the gunmen breached the jail using high-grade explosives. Following the attack, President Muhammadu Buhari visited the prison. The Nigerian leader, who's been under pressure over the country's security challenges, said he was disappointed with the intelligence system.
It's a very sad, unfortunate incident. But with each incident of this nature, it strengthens everybody. We identify areas of, that needs to be strengthened, and then collectively we work towards that.
According to Nigeria's correctional services, a total of 879 inmates fled. Close to 600 out of the prison's 900 inmates had been recaptured by Wednesday evening, while less than 100 were still on the run. Some prisoners surrendered while others were recaptured with military roadblocks.
I have no doubt whatsoever that those that have escaped will be found, because once the communities give the maximum cooperation and support, they can be identified.
Boko Haram is one of the jihadist groups involved in Nigeria's grinding 13-year conflict in the country's northeast. Along with Islamic State West Africa province, the conflict has killed 40,000 people and displaced 2.2 million more.
Difficult times for global food security. According to a new report prepared by 5 UN agencies, about 830 million people suffered from hunger in 2021 due to the consequences of the pandemic and the climate crisis. The number soared to 2.3 billion when it comes to the number of people who had severe or moderate difficulties in obtaining enough food.
We have also seen that extreme poverty has increased substantially. We have lost close to a decade of extreme poverty reduction. We have also seen that inequality is going up. And in addition, of course, all the indicators of nutrition are not going in the correct way.
The situation is particularly catastrophic in Africa, with 30 million people facing hunger in the West and East, suffering the worst drought of its contemporary history. On the continent, 9% of the population was suffering from hunger. Forecasts for this year are worrying, as the war in Ukraine has disrupted supply chains and caused food, energy and fertilizer prices to rise. If nothing changes, the planet will fail miserably in its goal of eradicating hunger by 2030, the UN agencies have warned.
We now get into sports news. Red Arrows Rugby Club props Mwamba Njolova is confident of beating NDOLA Rugby Club this coming Saturday in the ongoing National League. Speaking to the media, Njolova notes that the team is adequately training ahead of the match. Meanwhile, the club head coach Mwamba Chishimba discloses that there is stiff competition in the league, hence urging the players to put in their level best.
Saturday, 2nd July 2022, Red Arrows Rugby Club beat Nkonkola by 64 points to 5. In their quest to still hold on to first position, the Arrows are so far leading the league by 36 points, putting KPF in second position on aggregate. 9th July 2022, the Arrows are up against NDOLA Rugby Club. Camnet Sports was on the ground and interviewed one props player, Mwamba Njolova, who is confident of beating NDOLA Rugby Club this Saturday.
It's a very competitive team. They demand a lot. So whenever you get an opportunity to play, you always have to take advantage of it. Yes, it may take a while. In my case, I had an injury before, so I first had to recover, which took about 6 weeks, and then I had to regain my fitness. But even though I was not playing, I was always proud of the boys on the field. They represented us well. And yeah, I had a chance last weekend, which was my first game this season. When I had that opportunity, I took advantage of it, and hopefully this weekend I'll be on the field again to represent Red Arrows.
And the club head coach, Mwamba Chishimba, has implored the players to put in their level best.
Against NDOLA this weekend, it's not an easy game, but we are ready for them, and we are expected to beat them. We are working, we are improving every single game. We are, especially that we lost some few players to injuries, some few players.
Blessings Chakwila, Camnet Sports, Lusaka.
That sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Former First Lady Esther Lungu avoids D.E.C interrogation. Italian president holds Zambia's democracy. Second-hand underwear business booming amid the ban. In international news, Boris Johnson resigns as Prime Minister of the UK. And in sports, Red Arrows Rugby Club confident of beating NDOLA Rugby Club in this coming Saturday encounter. Before we go, our Camnet verse of the day is coming from the book of Proverbs 11, verse 23 to 24 from the King James Version, and it reads, "The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectations of the wicked is wrath. There is that succoureth and yet increaseth, and there is that withholdeth more than is met, but is tendeth to poverty." Thank you for watching. I am Precious Mzea Sakaleji. Pleasant viewing.